Hi, I'm Tony. This is SV Tapatya. We have been building a cruising sailboat, and you are now aboard this cruising sailboat, and it's coming to you from sunny Denmark. Well, hopefully the wind noise isn't disturbing the microphone too much. Yeah, so we're going to start this week's video off with a bit of sailing. We're going to cross from Germany to Denmark, Tapatya's first international voyage. And then we're going to, after that, we're going to have a look round down below, and I should talk through the systems down below and tell you something about how they're working so far. Yeah, a couple of things that need improving, but yeah, I say talk through the various boat systems down below. As you probably know, I've promised you a video on how the junk rig works, how the sails are set up. That is certainly coming soon. In fact, well, if I can find a calm enough spot to raise the sails and talk through them next week. So, coming up. So it's day 2 of our cruises, or sea trials really, with Miss Molly. Not Miss Molly, with Tapatya. Holy moly, here we go. On the wrong boat. What I'm doing is I'm changing the railings that I put on just before we left. I'm changing the front end. If Elizabeth, if you pan around, you can probably see up there on the starboard side, I've dropped the front end down to the lower loop on the pulpit. It's perfectly safe up there because you don't really go that far forwards. It's forward of the mast, and if you do, you've got a mast and a pulpit to hold on to. So, and it clears the battens of the sail better like that, and gives a bit more room for the sail. So that's what I'm up to. Unfortunately, I have to shorten them a little bit, which means I can never put them back. It's one of those decisions, but it's better, certainly. And also, you know, with it on the top loop, it's very high up, so yeah, it's better like this. Good. To loosen them off. Just take the tension off of that. I've got to undo that pin in the house. Oh, like that. Now that one down to there. Get the pin back in. That way, easy, good. And then we're going to tighten it up, or cut it at the other end. So let's go. Twist and undoes at that end. Drops in the water. Got it. Good. Take that end off of there. Like that. Good. You're going to come up to about somewhere around there after those. Free off that much, plus a little bit for luck. There. Well, it's a lovely anchorage, isn't it?
Yeah.
Some boats. A couple of boats anchored here last night, and we had a good calm night, didn't we?
Yeah.
Got our anchor ball up, really. Hey, hey.
Hey, hey.
Keep all the locals happy. It's the first time I've ever used an anchor ball. I know you're supposed to. But in my experience, a lot of places aren't too bothered about it. But here they're rather keen on it, so we've got it up. Good morning all. It's, what is it, 8:05 now. We've got underway at 7 o'clock, motored out the anchorage, or motor sailed. Yeah, we've motor sailed for a while anyhow. And now we're sailing, as you can probably hear, because it's nice and peaceful. Got the stove on, coffee's on, or the kettle's on, at least for coffee. Elizabeth's on the helm. Good morning everybody. It is light breeze, full sail, downwind, surrounding the Cardinal, which you may or may not see on this little camera, off of Fehmarn, and then we're going to turn up that way that you're looking and sail to, turn you around to look at me, sail to Denmark. Much better view than an empty, oh, I don't know, empty horizon's nice. But yeah, it's the plan. We're making about 3 knots, aren't we?
Yeah, 2.6 at the moment.
2.6 at the moment, yeah. Light airs, I say. But sailing, good, isn't it? We set off early, we should have time to get there. Very, very nice. Hello, mes amis, you plumper. C'est un ciel gris. But we're doing, shaky camera, we're doing 3 knots. We're going past, getting towards the end of Fehmarn, which is up there. And then we'll be turning up towards Denmark. Very nice, bit of sun over there, look. Well, it might be coming our way, if we're lucky. Yeah, good. Very peaceful morning, isn't it? Hey, so this is me reporting from the middle of the shipping lane, the Baltic shipping lane. It doesn't seem to be a TSS, a traffic separation system, but it's certainly a shipping lane. And behind Elizabeth here is a red and white striped buoy that I think is the centre marker for that. We've got a couple of big ships heading down the lane, which we should pass behind by those things. And over the distance, which you might not pick up on there, could well be a, well, it's a big ship at the very least coming up, which hopefully is going to go that side of that buoy, and in which case it will pass behind us. We were motoring for a while because the wind was non-existent, but it's just come back in again about 10 minutes ago, and we're making reasonable progress. Yeah, well, I guess this must be somewhere around the halfway mark since we're in the middle of the shipping lane. I guess so. Yeah, it's going well, isn't it? We're sailing well. See, the sun's coming out as well, which has cheered the old place up. A few short rains, didn't we? A few drizzles. But, yeah, going well now. Have a pan round, Elizabeth. What I did forget to say is that we've got our AIS transmitter on, transmitter and receiver, and we haven't had any warnings today at all, have we? So,
No, there was one for fishing boat earlier,
was it? Yeah,
but that was way out of our way.
I'm just happy that we're not interfering with anything. It's probably good. Doesn't need to be all the way at the top, does it? Just a decent height like that, I'd say. All good, eh?
Yeah.
It's raining, and we're motoring. It's been very, very light wind all day. Yeah, we're motoring into rain now. It's a lot of grayness, eh?
Isn't that a beautiful sight?
Isn't it just? It was sunny earlier.
For a short while.
Yeah. Well, it's the morning of the Monday and it's still as a still thing. We spent now 2 nights at this anchorage. It's been absolutely lovely. We're going to spend one more here and then move out tomorrow to an anchorage off the island of Omo, or looks like O-M-O, with and the second line's got a O's got a line through it. Head off that way, which looks nice. Should be a beam wind sail according to the weather forecast. Let's hope that's true. And thought I'd just sit up here. 1 or 2 little jobs to do today. I want to bleed the diesel system because the engine's hunting. When it, after a while, it runs good for a while, then after a while the revs start to drop a few hundred revs and then comes back up again. It keeps running, there's no issue, but it seems to have a bit of fuel starvation, and maybe I've still got a bit of air in there somewhere. It's quite likely, really. So I'll do a bleed on that. 1 or 2 little bits to do before we go. But I thought I'd just sit up here, talk to you, and also grab this camera and do a pan on this glassy still day. Have a look at this, it's fantastic. Is that not beautiful, eh? And this is the sort of thing you have in Denmark. There's quite a few of these sort of places, I think, that are just idyllic. You know, Denmark always gives you this impression of being super peaceful. I don't know if it's a true impression or not, but that's the feeling you get from Denmark. It's just, everything just seems to be calm here. And it's absolutely beautiful, isn't it? Yeah, it's lovely. It's, you know, not quite swimming pool temperature, a little bit cooler, but it's not bad at all. Quite comfy. A little bit of weed floating about, which is could be more pleasant on the arms.
Just as long as it's not jellyfish.
Hey?
Just as long as it's not jellyfish.
Yeah. Doesn't seem to be. Haven't seen a jellyfish in here. In fact, we haven't seen many this year at all, have we?
No.
Which is often in the Baltic, there are loads of them. Good, all we've got to do is climb up that swim ladder now.
It is a beautiful contraption of a swim ladder.
It is. Yeah. Bit of a lash up. That'll be a winter project to do something about that. An improvement of the swim ladder. So as promised, we're down below and we'll talk through the systems that we have and how they're working and say a few words. And we're going to start with the electrics, the board electrics. We've got 200 watts of solar on the bimini, and that's split into 2 banks running through 2 controllers. And charging only the service battery. So the motor battery is charged from the, well, when the engine's running. When the engine's running, it charges both batteries. There's a splitter on that. And shore power would charge both batteries, although since we left now 11 days ago, we haven't plugged in any. In fact, even that's not the whole story, because while I was on the dock after the launch that week and a bit, 10 days or whatever it was, and that was a week, exactly a week, I didn't plug in there either, so we ran entirely off of our solar charging then. So that's working marvellously, the solar. And down here by the shoe rack, down here you'll see 2 switches. This one allows me to choose which one the service items are running off of, so that's all lights and fans and whatever in the boat, battery 1 or 2, or switch it off. And this one allows me to choose which one the motor is starting from, battery 1 or 2. I normally start motor from battery 2 and services on 1. And I say it gives me the opportunity to isolate them. Well, the solar's charging marvellously and keeps us topped up. It's absolutely perfect. Perfect. And yeah, it couldn't be better. So I'm totally happy there. At the moment I've got the inverter on because I've got my MacBook charger in and I'm charging that. And I've just ordered a 12 volt charger for that, so once I've got it I won't have to run the inverter to charge the laptop, which would be a good thing. At the moment that's the only thing we're using the inverter for, charging the laptop, so it'd be good not to even bother with that and just run off the 12 volt. So that's all marvellous. I say electric's excellent. I have fitted, you'll see there, an iPad on that bulkhead, and the plan is to couple that with the plotter so that I can do route planning down below an evening before or so, set the waypoints. At the moment it's not working because I need a SD card in the plotter, an empty one, that allows you to install the software for the pairing of the two. Once I've got one it should be going, but say not working yet. The idea is good. I've also got paper charts in the chart table of everything, so you know, we're well supplied for charts and they're all used. The plotter up above, the plotter there is working very, very well. You know, I'm very much an old school sailor, and I've never sailed with a plotter before actually, and it is quite a aid to navigation, that's for sure. Very, very good. And we've got AIS, and down in here is our AIS device, which receives and transmits, and I can switch the transmission on and off, so we go into stealth mode, and it's not for the desire to be stealthy. That's not what it's about at all. I switch the AIS off if I don't think we need it, just to save the power really. So clearly it takes more electricity to transmit than simply to receive. So if I think we're in a place where there's no shipping around or no need, visibility's good, then the AIS transmitter isn't on. I know some of you, and this is something I've only discovered since we set sail, some of you like to follow. There's some, I know nothing about these things, but there's an app or a website or somewhere where we can follow AIS transmissions. And yeah, so that's very nice, and I will put it on more often. Let's get on, more systems. Well, you've seen the trusty Dickinson working, and it does work very well. I've learnt to be a bit more patient when lighting it to allow the diesel to run through to its correct level in the burner, but as long as you wait and then light it, it's performing marvellously. And clearly it's a style of stove that needs a bit of patience. You know, from cold it takes a while to boil a kettle. Once it's hot it cooks things very quickly, but yeah, it involves a slowerness of lifestyle, which isn't such a bad thing. Sinks, I bought these actually very cheaply, these two. And in practice, we only put stuff in the small one when we're washing up, when it's dry, you know, when it's washed to drain. I may convert this to a slightly bigger sink and a draining board. It wouldn't be much bigger, obviously, because of the room available, but I may do. The pump handles are delightful. Got one little issue down below, in that the pumps are both dripping. And I got some catchers under there to catch the drips, but that's a nuisance. And this winter I shall strip them down and see where the leaks are coming from, see what we can do about it. So that's no good. And I used these pumps on my previous boat and they didn't leak, so I'm sure I can get them to work. But at the moment, well, they do work. They work perfectly. They're just dripping. Can get them to seal, I'm sure. Well, in terms of food storage or preservation, we don't have fridge or a freezer of any sort, which makes us able to run on much less electricity. They're big eaters of electricity, as you probably know. And we're storing, at the moment, fresh veg in this locker. It will, and eggs and bits and bobs in there. It's keeping well. In these climates, no problem, but I will put a net up for most of that and hang them higher up. And other stuff's all tidily organised in boxes in here, and that's all keeping dried goods and bread and things like that, and it's all fine in there, working very, very well. In the galley area, I've got, you know, the stuff that you use a lot: cooking oils, salt, pepper, spices, flour, muesli, oatmeal, pasta, those sort of things in tubs in the galley cupboards, lockers, and that's all working very, very well. Excellent. Under this berth is a switch for the water tanks. I don't know if you'll see it, but it's there. Switch between the two tanks. We've got one, I'll put my head in the picture, one 90 litre tank, 110 litre tank, plus 52 litres in spare jugs, and it's doing well. We just started the second tank and we've been underway 11 days. It's the smaller one that's empty, so we've still got most of the bigger tank available, and we'll top them up soon. The anchor light is completely simple, just on that switch, works well on the masthead. All other switches are working well. Blower is both the fan for the stove and for the toilet. So there's a fan, it's just a little computer fan in the toilet that vents it and keeps things nice and smell free in there. It's all very good. Everything else working marvellously, really. VHF, you know, what could go wrong? Need to put a battery in the ship's clock. That needs sorting out, but I can't think of much else to tell you about. Oh, in the heads, got the stand there now, foot pump for the fresh water in the sink there, all working marvellously. The what do we call it? Composting is a bit of a wrong name for those toilets, really, isn't it? But it's working very well. Separates urine and the other stuff, and so the urine's easy enough to dispose of, and the other stuff gets bagged up and taken ashore and disposed of there. I only had to do it once so far, so all good, and you know, perhaps not the most pleasant job we've ever done, but quite bearable. And happy with that, works well. No through hulls, no leaking valves, no splashy stuff around the pump. It's clean and tidy, very good. Yeah, and in terms of general stowage, we're still working out the best places for some things. Some things have found their little nook, but some are still being thought about. I'm gradually getting better with the stowage, certainly. Certainly I've got more weight at the moment with tools and repair stuff on the starboard side than we have on the port side, which probably makes us sit a little bit over one side, but it's not a big deal. And there we are. I look round down below. Now, if you think of anything that I've forgotten to tell you, please feel free to ask. I'm happy to talk about it. I think that, you know, she's a simple boat, so I think that's our systems, really. May well be I've forgotten something. Ask away. And that is it for this week. Thank you for watching. As ever, you know, I can't thank them enough. The lovely people that support us on Patreon and via PayPal. You guys rock. You make these videos possible. It's as simple as that. We'll be back next week, sailing, hopefully talking about the sails. See you then. Bye.